What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Friday, July 5th. The 4th of July got off to a pretty great start, guys. We ended up with wins on the Astros minus 118. That was a solid one. They came through 5-3, I believe, in that game. We also hit a very crazy over on that Boston-Miami game. Took us until late into the game, until extra innings and stuff, but they got over that 8 number pretty comfortably in the end, so we'll definitely take that, put it on the board. But man, after that, things got a little bit dicey, guys. We saw Baltimore just have a terrible time there against Seattle. They couldn't salt that one away. They were led for most of the game and just couldn't end up putting that one away, so took the loss there. We had Atlanta minus 108. They ended up losing that game 4-2, just could not get any offense going in that game. We had the Brewers minus 145. They ended up with a 4-3 loss to the Colorado Rockies. Pretty embarrassing stuff. You can't score 5 runs against the Rockies playing at Coors Field, so not great stuff there. And then we saw the Royals come up in a weird game for us, just couldn't make it happen. They ended up losing 10-8, so not exactly what we were looking for, guys. Let's get back on track with a full Friday slate. Before we get into the games, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free, and for some reason, nearly 50% of you guys aren't subscribed, so let's see if we can pump those numbers up a little bit. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays in all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs. The Angels come into this game fresh off of a 4th straight loss, guys. They just got swept by the Oakland A's. That was a series in Oakland, and the Angels straight up did not have a good time. They got shut out 5-0 in the last game of that series, so hoping to turn things around here. They're only 36-50 on the year, though, handing the ball in this game to Griffin Canning, who's 3-8 this season with a 4.71 ERA, coming off of a pretty mediocre start there against the Tigers. We did see that, the Angels did eventually win that game, but it wasn't really his fault. He gave up 5 runs on 6 hits over 6 innings of work, so not exactly premium stuff. Start before that, though, was very good. Kind of an aberration of a start. He hasn't had that many great outings over his last 5. So, give him credit for that A's outing, but he struggled against Milwaukee, at Arizona, and then against the Houston Astros. So, definitely have my questions here about Canning and big questions about this Angels bullpen, guys. One of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball this season, no question about that. Been one of the worst ones in Major League Baseball pretty much all season long, and the offense, guys, has been nowhere to be found. They've been shut out in each of their last 2 games, straight up not hitting the ball at all right now, sitting at 22nd in the majors in runs scored over the course of the season and 22nd in the majors, getting on base at a 304 clip. This is not a squad that is swinging the bat very well. Coldest squad in the majors at the plate right now. So big question marks about how many runs they'll be able to put up here going against Chicago Cubs, who come into this game fresh off of a crazy 10-2 win there to salvage a win in that series against the Phillies. The Cubs are only 40-48 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Justin Steele, who's 0-3 this year with a 3.20 ERA, but he's coming off a pretty good start there at Milwaukee. Not the easiest place to pitch. He went 6 innings, gave up 7 hits and 3 earned runs. He struck out 5 and walked 0 in that start, and the guy hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs in any of his last 5 starts. He's really doing everything he can to give the pretty weak Cubs team a chance to win some games here. Their bullpen been around MLB average of the season, not a lot to report there. The offense, guys, hadn't been good until that 10-run outburst, so maybe they figured a little bit of something out there. I mean, Ian Happ hitting 2 home runs, kind of an aberration, not something we think we're going to see all the time, obviously. So not an offense that we're super high on. 20th in the majors in runs scored, 25th in the majors in team batting average. Just not a great offense, guys. Not good slugging percentage numbers either. Looking at the numbers for this game overall, we see the Angels at plus 160. We see the Cubs at minus 184. We got an over-under of 10.5 in this game, so definitely some wind blowing out there at Wrigley Field. We see the Angels are 18-24 on the road. The Cubs are 23-20 at home. We see some mixed, not very meaningful trends towards the over-under, so not very interested in the over-under in this game. I maybe tend to lean slightly towards the over, but in general in this game, guys, I like the Cubs with Justin Steele out there on the mound. He's been very good lately, and maybe the Cubs can carry over a little bit of this hot offense, but I'm not interested in betting this game one way or the other. Next up, guys, we're looking at the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Mets come into this game fresh off of a tough loss there. They lost 1-0 at Washington to finish that series off 2-2, so not exactly what they were looking for there. They're 42-43 on the season, handing the ball to Luis Severino in this game. He's 5-2 this season with a 3.42 ERA, coming off of a decent start, but not the result he was looking for there against the Houston Astros. He went 7 innings, gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs, so 7 innings of the game for him is pretty solid work. 4 earned runs runs is obviously not amazing, but he was going up against a pretty hot hitting Houston team. His starts before that against Chicago, like at Chicago, was pretty solid. He looked good in that one. So we have some reason to have faith in him right now. I mean, he's been the best pitcher on this Mets team basically all season long. So a lot of positives to look at for him. The last time he faced the Pirates, also, he was very, very good. That was back on April 17th, though, so quite a while ago, but still, we can at least take that slightly into consideration. The Mets bullpen hasn't been amazing, but has been trending in a positive direction lately, so some upside there as well. And this offense has been very reasonable lately. I mean, over their last, like 30 or so games, they've had a huge resurgence, but over the last couple of games, I mean, they got shut out in their last one, so not great. They've scored 0, 5, 7, and 9 runs respectively over their last 4. Not terrible stuff, all very manageable. Looking at this offense overall, they're 8th in the majors in runs scored and 9th in batting average. I don't think this is actually a top 10 offense, so we're going to see these numbers regress at some point, but I mean, right now, they're looking very, very good, so definitely expecting something of a bounce back after getting shut out there, and we'll see what they can put up here against the Pirates, who come into this game 41-45 in the season. They can't be too happy to just have lost 2 out of 3 to the St. Louis Cardinals. They're hitting the ball in this game to Paul Skeens, though. Always reason for excitement and celebration. He's 4-0 this year with a 2.06 ERA. His last time out at Atlanta, he went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, and only a single earned run. He did give up a home run in that game. He struck out 9 and walked 2, so he's been looking very, very good. No way around that. He's given up an average of less than 1 earned run per game over his last 4 starts. So not a lot of notes there for Skeens. Definitely some notes for this Pirates bullpen. Maybe they haven't been a disaster, but they definitely haven't been great. Not one of the top bullpens in the MLB, so we have some question marks about them for sure. We'll see if they can figure things out here down the home stretch of the season, but got a ways to go for sure. And this offense also seems to have a ways to go, guys. They've scored 2, 5, 4, and 4 runs respectively over their last few games. They're 25th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in the majors in team batting average. This is just not a great offense, guys. I mean, we did see Brian Reynolds go on that crazy streak. That was fun. That was cool, but not enough. Like, this team, their biggest problem right now is lack of offensive production, and unless they can find out some way to address that and just get better out there at the plate, things are going to continue to look pretty bleak, and they are going to have to find a way to put up some runs in this game, because there's no way the Mets, even if Skeens has a brilliant outing, are going to shut them out over the course of this game. So looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Mets plus 105, we see the Pirates minus 120. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. The Mets are 20-18 on the road. We also see that Pittsburgh is 20-22 at home, so not a crazy amount to go off of in that one. I mean, in general, if we're looking at the side in this game, I do lean a little bit towards the Mets plus 105. They've got their best pitcher out there. Sure, I think Skeens is probably going to look dominant over 6-ish innings, but after that, all bets are off. We'll see what happens. So looking at the over-under in this game, we see the Mets are an MLB best 24-11-3 to the over when playing on the road. We see Pittsburgh is basically a 50-50 over-under team at home, so I lean a little bit towards over 7.5. I know that sounds crazy with Skeens on the mound, but I definitely think it could happen. Not going in the pinned comment, though. Not enough faith in this one either way. If you wanted to take something like under in the first 5, I could get behind that. Skeens is a bit sketchy to be betting no run first innings on. See, if he's going to give up a run, it seems like he's going to give it up early, so we'll just have to see. Overall, probably not going to have a lot going on this game. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Cardinals come into this game fresh out of winning 2 out of 3 there against the Pirates. Not all those wins were in necessarily dominant fashion, but they did lose. The only game they lost in that series, they lost by a single run. They're 45-41 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Sonny Gray, who's 9-5 this year with a 2.98 ERA, coming off a pretty terrible start there at home against the Cincinnati Reds. He only went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 6 runs, only 3 of them were earned, so that wasn't all his fault. It was kind of a debacle, kind of a weird day out there. He's got to be excited to be getting to go up against the Nationals, who are not exactly a great hitting team, and yeah, this is a great bounce back opportunity for an absolute ace of a pitcher out there, so we'll see what he can do. We'll also see if the Cardinals bullpen can continue the positive trends they've been on here for the last, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks. They've been looking much, much better, so positive things coming out of a bullpen that was way below average and now is significantly above average. The Cardinals' bats have been their biggest concern this year. It's been the biggest problem. They're 26th in the majors in runs scored, so obviously not great, but all of those offensive statistics are trending in a positive direction. I mean, over the last few games, they've scored 3, 4, 7, and 2 runs respectively, so not necessarily amazing stuff there, but coming up with some offense when they need to. We've seen good things from Wynn, good things from Nolan Gorman, good things from Brendan Donovan. Like, this offense has some, some positives to to it now. It hasn't over the course of the season necessarily, but things are kind of coming together, and if we can ever see some of the veterans put things together, this offense will be pretty good. They're hoping they can put up some runs here against the Nationals team that's now won 2 in a row. They won that last game against the Mets 1-0. They're 41-46 this season, handing the ball to Patrick Corbin, who's 1-8 this year with a 5.49 ERA, so not exactly killing it out there. His last start was at the Tampa Bay Rays. He went 6 innings, gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs. His start before that, he was very serviceable at the Padres. He gave up 3 earned runs on 7 innings, so he hasn't been throwing the ball terrible lately, but at Tampa Bay, he definitely looked gettable, and now he's got to go up against a Cardinals team that, obviously not the hottest hitting team, so we'll see what he can do out there. The Nationals bullpen has not been terrible this season either, so that's a slight positive. Like, whenever Corbin comes out of this game, you can trust their bullpen pretty much to hold things together. Not necessarily like a top 5 or bullpen or anything like that, but they've been slightly above average, so give them some credit where credit is due. The Nationals have been another one of those teams that have a lot of trouble with their offensive production. They just don't put up a ton of runs. They've scored 1, 5, 2, and 7 runs respectively over their last 4 games. CJ Abrams leads the way for them with a 279 batting average and 13 home runs, which is fine, but not exactly carry an offense kind of numbers. And they're 26th in the majors in slugging percentage, 20th in team batting average. Like, this is just not a great offensive team. So I've got some questions about how many runs they're going to be able to put up, and I've got some big questions about one of the numbers for this game, guys. We see the Cardinals at minus 184. That makes sense to me with Sonny Gray on the mound. We see the Nationals plus 155. That kind of makes sense with Patrick Corbin out there and stuff like that. But then we see an over-under in this game of a 9. Do they think the Cardinals are going to just destroy Patrick Corbin? Do they think the Nationals are going to destroy Sonny Gray? None of that makes any sense to me. Neither one of these bullpens are looking terrible. We see the Cardinals are 23, 18, and 3 to the under on the road. We see Washington is 20, 17, and 3 to the under at home. Guys, give me under 9 in this game. It is for sure going in the pinned comment. I think we're going to see offense at a premium in this one. I would be taking this one even at under 8 or under 8.5. I think under 9 is great, great value. Next up, guys, we're looking at a big rivalry game. We've got the Boston Red Sox headed to Yankee Stadium to take on the Yankees. The Red Sox come to this game fresh off a 3-game sweep there of the Marlins. That last game was close, 6-5, but they will definitely take it. The Red Sox are 47-39 on the year. They are 7.5 games back of Baltimore for the lead there in the AL East. They're handing the ball in this one to Tanner Houck, who is 7-6 this season with a 2.67 ERA. He's coming off of a horrendous start there, guys, against the San Diego Padres. He went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 9 hits, 7 earned runs, 8 runs overall. He gave up 3 home runs in that outing. Just disaster level stuff. Did not look good out there. So he is in search of a huge, huge bounce back performance. And I mean, honestly, that was one of his worst outings in recent memory. Like, he's been very, very good prior to that. Even in starts against teams like the Phillies, he's looked good. So we'll see what he can do out there against the Yankees. I'm expecting something of a bounce back from him at least. The Red Sox bullpen has been very good this season in general. Definitely well above average. So not a lot of big question marks for me there. They've been pretty good. And overall, guys, the offense has been putting it together as well. They've scored 6, 7, and 8 runs respectively over their last 3 games. They've won 4 in a row. Things are coming together. They're 13th in the majors in runs scored, but they are top 7 in all the other major categories, guys. 6th in the majors in team batting average, batting .254 as a squad. They are 7th in the majors in on base percentage, 7th in the majors in slugging percentage, slugging the ball at a .421 clip. That is all very, very positive stuff. So expecting good things from this offense taking on the Yankees here. They're going to be highly motivated. The Yankees straight up not having a good time right now, guys. They just lost 3 in a row against the Cincinnati Reds. Not something I thought I'd be saying this season. You asked me a month ago how a series against the Reds is going to go. I'm going to say the Yankees are going to dominate. They absolutely did not. They're 54-35 in the season, hitting the ball to Nestor Cortez in this game. He's 4-7 this year with a 3.51 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty mediocre start there at the Toronto Blue Jays. Not exactly the hardest hitting team. He went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 3 earned runs. He gave up a home run in that game. He's given up a home run in each of his last 2 games, so that's a little bit concerning. He's pitched against some tough teams, but I mean, his last outing being against Toronto doesn't exactly, that's not a terribly tough opponent there. And yeah, just not super high on Nestor Cortez right now. Also not nearly as high as we were at other points this season on that Yankees bullpen. They went from dominant to not quite so dominant pretty quick. So some definite problems plaguing this pitching staff. And right now, some problems plaguing this offense. I mean, they scored 4, 2, and 4 runs respectively in their series against the Reds. Not exactly what you expect from a team like this. They're still going to be without Stanton, still going to be without Rizzo. Like, this team is just not at full strength right now, and it is really, really showing. Just in general, this offense not exactly looking insanely good like it did at other points this season. So they might have their work cut out for them in this one, guys, but the odds makers don't think so. We've got the Red Sox at plus 120 in this game. We've got the Yankees at minus 140. We've got an over-under of 8. Boston is 27-16 on the road. We see the Yankees are 24-17 at home. Both these teams are showing fairly significant trends towards the over, and we've got an over-under of only 8 in this game. So this kind of comes down to two different bets, guys. Are you going to take the over 8, which seems extremely reasonable to me, or are you going to take the Red Sox plus 120? I suppose there's no reason you couldn't do both. In general, I'm just leaning towards going ahead and taking over 8. I think there's going to be enough offense in this game to get over that number. I think we're going to see the Yankees score at least a couple runs here. I think we'll see the Red Sox put up a few runs against Nestor Cortez. So give me over 8, but also if you wanted to take the Red Sox plus 120, I've got absolutely no problem with that. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the Miami Marlins. The White Sox come to this game fresh off of an 8-4 loss there at Cleveland. They're hitting the ball to Drew Thorpe in this game. He's 2-1 this season with a 4.43 ERA, coming off of a very good start there against the Colorado Rockies. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs. He struck out 4 and walked 1. Definitely one of his sharper appearances in terms of control. Honestly, this dude would have insane numbers over the course of the season if it wasn't for that disaster start at Arizona. So we're honestly not feeling terrible about Drew Thorpe out there on the mound. Obviously not feeling great about that Chicago White Sox bullpen, though. Has not been one of the best bullpens in the major leagues this year, guys. Honestly, it's been one of the worst. So yeah, not feeling super hot about them, and obviously not feeling great about this offense, guys. I mean, they have been maybe a tick better lately. They've scored 4, 8, 6, and 4 runs respectively over their last few games, but still one of the worst offenses in Major League Baseball. Not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. They're last in runs scored and last in slugging percentage, and they're second to last in batting average, batting .221 as a squad. Just not a very good offensive team. They might not need that much offense here going up against a Marlins squad that has now lost 4 in a row. They're 30-57 on the year, handing the ball in this game to Brian Hoeing. He's just coming off the 15-day IL with a hamstring issue that put him there. He's going to be making the start. He's normally a bullpen guy, so we're going to be seeing a heavy dose here of the Miami Marlins bullpen, which has not been one of the best bullpens this year, guys. Definitely not one of the best. One of the worst bullpens, to be quite honest. So yeah, big question marks there from what we're going to see from them. So yeah, it's a little bit sketchy, and they're going to be leaning on their offense to put up some runs. And while they are coming off a game, they scored 5 runs. They've scored 5, 2, 3, 6, and 3 runs respectively over their last few. They're 29th in the majors this season in runs scored. Also dead last in the majors in on-base percentage, so just not a lot of great things to say about this offense, guys. In general, looking at the numbers for this game, we see the White Sox at plus 100, the Marlins at minus 118. The White Sox are only 9-35 on the road. That's an MLB worst road record. We see Miami is 16-30 at home. That is an MLB worst home record. So yeah, it's really a battle of two pretty awful teams here. I'm leaning towards the White Sox plus 100 on the side for this game, and if you want to take a look at the over-under, we see that Miami, they are the biggest over team when playing at home in the majors this season. They're 32-13-1 to the over. We see the White Sox are also an over team on the road. So guys, I'm looking at another over in this game, and it seems extremely live. I don't like the idea of betting on two horrible offenses to put up a lot of runs, but over 8 honestly seems like the best lean in this game. I also like the White Sox plus 100, so you could talk me into that. Either the White Sox plus 100 or over 8. In general in this game, I don't know if I've got enough confidence in either side or any of these things happening to put it in the pinned comment. We'll just have to wait and see. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds. The Tigers come into this game fresh off of a 12-3 loss there in their last game of that series at Minnesota. They managed to win one game, but lost the series 2-1. They're 39-48 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Reese Olson, who's 2-8 this year with a 3.32 ERA. He's coming off of a very good start there at the Angels, which, shocker of the century, the Tigers managed to lose. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, 5 hits, and walked 3 and struck out 9. So pretty good stuff out there. He hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs over any of his last 3 starts. So once again, Reese Olson back on track here, just not getting a lot of help from this Tigers offense. The bullpen's been pretty decent for them this season, has not been a massive concern. So, that's a plus for this team, but the offense, guys, is just not looking great. They scored 3 runs in the last game. They scored 3, 9, 3, and 7 runs respectively over their last 4. So, some moments where they put up some runs, but in general, guys, there's a reason this team is in the bottom third of the majors in runs scored. They're 26 in the majors, batting .228 as a team. Yeah, I mean, Riley Green is solid. I'm not even going to say he's awesome, though. Like, he's just solid. Like, not a lot of guys that are running up there that scare me at the plate. So offense going to continue to be at a premium here for the Tigers. They're taking on the Cincinnati Reds, who have to be riding awfully high, coming off a 3-game sweep there at Yankee Stadium. They looked brilliant in that series. They're 42-45 this year, handing the ball in this one to Carson Spears. He is coming off of a pretty good start there at the Cardinals. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, and only a single earned run. Gave up 2 runs overall, but it was a good outing, and honestly, his last last 2 starts have been pretty good. The one before that against Pittsburgh, maybe not great, but in general, the guy's been looking pretty good over this little span of starts that he's had, and before that, he was looking very good in long relief. So we've got some pretty good things to say about him right now, and the Reds bullpen continues to be solid, guys, well above average, up there around the top 10 even. So this is a pretty decent bullpen unit, especially coming off of a series against the Yankees. That is impressive stuff. The question for this team, as always, remains how much offense can we expect? Well, guys, in their series against the Yankees, they scored 8, 3, and 5 runs respectively. Honestly, those kind of numbers, I think Reds and their fans would take that all day long. So, the bats kind of turning around a little bit. We do see they're up to 16th in the majors in runs scored. They are still only 27th in the majors, batting .227 as a team, though, so that's a bit concerning. Not a great on-base percentage team either, but we've seen guys like Elly De La Cruz getting back on track here. I mean, we've seen Spencer Street hitting some home runs. He's looking good. So, definitely some positive trends to look at for this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see that the Tigers are only 20 and 26 on the road. The Reds are 20 and 23 at home. The Tigers are minus 102. The Reds are minus 115. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. We see, the Tigers are an over team on the road. The Reds are actually an under team at home, which is pretty crazy at the Great American Ballpark. But honestly, guys, in this game, I'm looking at the Reds minus 115. Seems like a pretty reasonable spot for them. I think Spears is being a bit undervalued. He's been very solid. I do think Reese Olson is pretty good, though. So, this is a bit of a tough spot here. I don't know how many runs we can really expect the Reds to put up against Reese Olson. He's been a very unlucky guy over the course of the season. Also, this could be something of a letdown spot for the Reds. So I either like the Reds minus 115 or under 9 in this game, but honestly, neither one of those do I like enough to put in the pinned comment. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The Giants come into this game fresh off of a 4-2 win there at Atlanta. Solid win from them. Webb looked very, very good. They're 43 and 45 in the season, handing the ball in this game to an unknown starter. It's undecided right now. We don't know who's going to be taking the mound for them. If it ends up being a bullpen start, that's a pretty big concern for a Giants team that has not been very good out of the pen this season. So we'll just have to see who actually ends up on the bump for them in this game, but they're going to need some offense, and that's come at a little bit of a premium for them lately. I mean, they've scored 4, 1, and 5 runs respectively over their last 3. They are a slightly above average offensive team, don't get me wrong, guys, but is this really a squad that we trust to carry their bullpen through a start? Like, if they're going to have to score 8 or 9 runs to win this game, do we really think they're capable of that? That seems like a big ask to me, and they're taking on a Cleveland Guardians team that, just won 2 out of 3 against the White Sox. Not exactly a huge feat there, but they're coming off a game where they scored 8 runs. We saw Stephen Kwan hit a home run in that game. They're handing the ball in this game to Tanner Bybee, who's 7-2 this season with a 3.47 ERA. He's been looking very, very good despite facing some very tough opponents over his last 4 games. And yeah, just in general, definitely positive things for me to say right here about Bybee. I mean, the dude has just looked very, very good. He hasn't faced the Giants yet this season, so, nothing to really go off of there. But in general, he's looked good. The Cleveland bullpen has looked very good this season, so a lot of great things lining up for this pitching staff. And if the offense can get on track, guys, this team can reel off a lot of wins. I mean, they're already 54 and 31 on the season. If we get Kwan back online here, I mean, the dude's batting .367 this season. Jose Ramirez is out there killing it. He's got 23 home runs, 76 RBIs. Like, this offense can put up some runs. They're 7th in the majors in runs scored. They're 9th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, this is a very, very good offensive team. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Giants do struggle on the road. They're 18 and 25 on the road. That's probably a big part of the reason they're plus 144 in this game. We see the Guardians at minus 172. They are 28 and 10 at home. That's an MLB best mark at home this season. Guys, I'm actually looking at the Guardians minus 1.5 in this one, and right now you might want to jump on that pretty quick because it looks like, and I'm only seeing numbers out for like FanDuel and stuff like that, but it looks like if you take a minus 1.5, you can get them at plus 130. We are definitely going to be getting as big of a piece of that as we can. Give me Cleveland minus 1.5 in this game. I think they have a very, very reasonable shot of winning this game walking away. We also see Cleveland is an MLB, is a pretty solid 22, 13, and 3 to the over at home, and San Francisco is an over of a significant over team on the road. So over 8.5 also seems very good to me. There's honestly a real chance that both of these plays could end up in the pinned comment. I think I lean more towards the Guardians minus 1.5 though. With Bybee on the mound, he just seems like a great choice. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. The Phillies come into this game fresh off of a 10-2 loss there in Game 3 against the Cubs. That loss snapped a 3-game winning streak of the Phillies, who are 57 and 30 on the year, handing the ball to Aaron Nola in this game. He's 9-4 this season with a 3.43 ERA, coming off of a decent but not amazing start, given that it was against the Miami Marlins, giving up 3 earned runs over 6 2/3 against the Marlins. doesn't exactly feel like a dominant performance. And we see that he started his season off back on the 30th of March against the Atlanta Braves, so not a lot we can take from that game. It was a terrible outing for him, but we're going to throw that one out, not taking that one super into account since that happened a billion years ago. And the Phillies bullpen has been excellent, one of the best bullpens in Major League Baseball, absolutely no doubt about that. So yeah, we can feel pretty good about Aaron Nola, and we can feel pretty good about their pitching staff once he comes out of the game. The Phillies offense has been missing Harper and Schwarber here for a bit. When are we going to get them back? It doesn't seem like it's going to be quite yet. They're getting very close, hopefully. I mean, we see Harper still dealing with that hamstring still, and he's at maybe 70 to 75% intensity just on drill work, so that doesn't fill me with a ton of optimism that he's going to be back quick. It sounds like Schwarber's at something around 90%, so I think we could see him out there pretty soon, but I kind of doubt that we see either one of them here for this game, and that's a pretty big concern for this offense. Although they've been finding a way to manufacture some runs without them, definitely not the same team without those two heavy hitters. The Braves come into this game not exactly having a great time. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 overall to fall to 47-38 this season. They're hitting the ball to Max Fried, who is 7-3 this year with a 2.91 ERA. He's coming off of a third straight amazing start. He's given up exactly 1 earned run in each of his last 3 outings, spanning starts against Pittsburgh, the Yankees, and the Tigers. The start before that wasn't great at Baltimore, but the start before that was very good at Fenway Park. So in general, we can feel very good about Max Fried out there. We can also feel pretty decent about this Atlanta Braves bullpen. The problem for them lately has been the offense, guys. They've scored 2, 3, 3, 2, and 2 runs respectively over their last few games, and those are spanning series against the Giants and the Pirates. Not exactly great pitching teams. So pretty big concerns for the offense right now. I mean, they're sitting at 18th in the majors in runs scored, 16th in the majors in team batting average. They're 18th in the majors getting on base at a 308 clip. Like, this is supposed to be a much better offensive team than it's looking like to me right now. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Phillies at plus 120, the Braves at minus 142. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. We see Philly is 23-16 on the road. We see Atlanta is 27-16 at home. So that's a pretty solid home number. In general, in this game, guys, I'm not sure which way to go. I mean, we do have an over-under of 7.5. Maybe we could look at the under for this game since, the Braves aren't hitting the ball well and they're going up against a decent pitcher. But in general, I think I'm just going to go ahead and lean towards the Phillies plus 120, expecting a decent start from Nola and maybe some hiccups there from the Braves. But in general, guys, this is not a game that I'm super in love with. Don't know what to expect, and I'm just kind of waiting for this Phillies team to get back to full strength once they get their heavy hitters back. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. The Rays come into this game fresh off of a 10-8 win in a crazy game there at Kansas City. So winning at the Royals has been tough this year, but they found a way to do it. They're 44-43 this season, handing the ball to Shane Baz, who's 1-2, but that record is from back in 2022. So he's going to be making his MLB debut coming up from AAA Durham, for this season. He's going to be making taking Aaron Savale's spot in the Rays rotation. So we'll see what he can do out there. He hasn't exactly been killing it in the minor leagues this season, so I've got some pretty big questions about him for this game, and I also have big questions about that Rays bullpen. It has not been good whatsoever this season, so yeah, a lot of questions surrounding the pitching for Tampa Bay in this game, and there's always some questions surrounding their offense. They are coming off a game where they scored 10 runs, but that has not been the norm for this team this season. I mean, they're 24th in the majors in runs scored. They are 24th in the majors also in slugging percentage, so a team that definitely lacks some pop there at the plate, and yeah, just some questions about how many runs they're going to put up here going up against the Texas Rangers, who are 39-48 this season, coming off of back-to-back losses to the Padres. They did win 1 out of 3 in that series, but yeah, 39-48, not where they want to be. They're handing the ball to Michael Lorenzen, who's 4-4 this season with a 3.40 ERA. He's coming off a tough outing, but guys, it was at Camden Yards, one of the toughest places to pitch in the MLB this season by far, so we're going to cut him a little bit of slack. In general, he's been very good recently. Not a lot of negative things for me to say about how his season has looked. Feeling good about Michael Lorenzen out there. Not feeling amazing about the Rangers bullpen, but they haven't been a disaster, so we'll give them a little bit of credit there. The offense, guys, has not looked great recently. I'll definitely give you that. They've scored 1, 4, 7, and 11 runs over their last 4 games, so the last couple were definitely a struggle, but this is a team that's shown they can put up some runs. I mean, they're 15th in the majors in runs scored, 18th in the majors, batting nearly 240 as a team. Like, well, that's not amazing. That's also not terrible, so I feel pretty decent about the Rangers offense at this exact moment, given what they've done over the course of the season, and Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Rays at plus 100, the Rangers at minus 118. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Tampa Bay is 21-18 on the road. They are a 500 over-under team on the road. We see Texas is 21-21 at home, so exactly a 500 team at home, and they're a huge under team. They're 28-12-2 to the under at home. That's an MLB best to the under number, but yeah, not interested in the over-under in this game, guys. I am very, very interested in the Texas Rangers minus 118. I think they are going to absolutely murder Shane Baz up there, so give me the Rangers in this one at a very, very reasonable price. I think they're going to come away with a comfortable win against a pretty mediocre, not really rookie, but a pretty mediocre pitcher who's coming off of not looking that great in the minor leagues. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. The Astros come into this game winners of 5 of their last 6 overall. They're 45-42 on the season. They are only 2 games back of the Mariners there in the AL West. They're handing the ball in this one to Shane Dubin, who he's coming off of not the best first start. I mean, not the longest first start. It was a very good start. He went 3 1/3 innings, didn't give up a single hit or a single run, anything like that. He walked 3 and struck out 2, so maybe some small control issues, but in his first, chance getting a start there, he looked pretty good at the New York Mets. A very hot team, and a team that we saw the Astros eventually beat in that game 10-5 in extra innings. So they'll definitely take that. They'll probably take the way their bullpen's been looking recently also. I mean, over the last 20 to 30 games when this whole solid stretch has happened, the bullpen has been part of that solid stretch. So they'll definitely take their bullpen performing quite a bit better, and the offense coming alive is what has really saved this team, guys. Over the last few games, they've scored 5, 9, 6, 3, 10, and 9 runs respectively. They're up to 11th in the majors in runs scored. They're still hanging on to that top spot in the MLB, batting .246 as a squad. They're 8th in the majors in on base percentage. They're 4th in the majors in slugging percentage. This is an offense that pretty much checks all the boxes. We are expecting them to continue this trend and to continue to put up plenty of offense. So a lot of good things to look at there for the Astros. They're taking on the Minnesota Twins in this game, who have also been playing well. They've won 4 out of their last 5. They come into this game fresh off of a 12-3 win against the Tigers. They're handing the ball to Pablo Lopez in this one. He's 8-6 this season with a 4.88 ERA. He's coming off of back-to-back solid outings, guys. He had an 8-inning appearance at Oakland, which you kind of expect after a dominant 8 innings, maybe he's going to be a little bit messed up for his next start and not do as well, but that was not the case at Seattle. Obviously, it's at Seattle, a pretty terrible hitting team, but still, he went 6 innings, he gave up 4 hits and only a single earned run. We also see that the Twins are 4-0 over his last 4 starts, so a lot of positive things to look at for him, but when your starts were against Colorado, Tampa Bay, Oakland, and Seattle, that's probably 4 of the easiest 6 or 8 teams that you could possibly face in the MLB. So we're taking those numbers with a big old grain of salt, if you ask me. However, he did pitch at Houston back on the 31st of last month, and he looked very good over 7 innings. So there's plenty of reason to think he will do well in this outing, and maybe not as much reason to think the Twins bullpen will do well. They've had their struggles over the course of this season for sure, and maybe they haven't been quite as bad lately, but not a bullpen that I am super filled with optimism and trust and hope about. So, definitely some questions about this Twins bullpen. The offense, though, has been looking good, guys. They've scored 12, 2, 5, 5, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games, and that series against Detroit and Seattle, not the worst pitching teams out there, that's for sure. This team is top 10 in runs scored. They're 11th in the majors, batting .248 as a team. They've got a .318 on base percentage, which is 10th in the majors, and they're one of the better slugging percentage teams in the MLB. So, yeah, a lot of positive things to look at for the Twins in this game, and the odds makers definitely agree with that, guys. They've got Minnesota at -146. They've got the Astros at +124. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. We see Houston is 19-23 on the road, a number that's been drastically improving over the course of this last, big, long, solid streak they've been on. The Twins are 25-17 at home. They are 20-20 and 2 over-under at home, so exactly an even over-under team. We do see that the Astros are an under team on the road. Not interested in that over-under of 8, though, guys. I tend to look slightly towards the Astros +124, to be honest. I think Lopez is going to have a little bit of a letdown start in this one, going up against the best hitting team that he has faced in at least a month. So we'll see what happens here, but this isn't a game that I have enough faith in either side to put it in the pinned comment. Moving right along here, guys, we've got the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. The Royals come into this game fresh off of that very disappointing 10-8 loss there in their last game of the series against the Rays. They're 48-41 on the season. They've got to go back out on the road. They're handing the ball to Cole Rangans in this game. He's 5-6 this season with a 3.33 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty bad start there against the Cleveland Guardians. He went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 5 earned runs on 6 hits. Just not his best stuff. His start before that against Miami was good, but in general, guys, he's coming off a pretty bad outing. I do expect him to bounce back. How much can we trust this Royals bullpen? I would say not a crazy amount, guys. They've really had some pretty significant ups and downs lately and have not looked like the bullpen they were in the beginning of the season. So big questions kind of about the pitching staff in general for this game for the Royals. And the offense, I mean, they have scored 8, 4, 1, and 6 runs respectively over their last few games. They kind of got back on track a little bit being back at home, but now they've got to go back out on the road, albeit into an extremely hitter-friendly environment. So we'll see what we actually get out of this offense. I mean, they're 12th in the majors in runs scored and 13th in the majors in batting average. There's positives to find on this offense. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Salvador Perez has been solid all season long. Bobby Witt Jr. has had some very, very hot stretches. So we'll see what they can actually do up there at the plate. They're going up against the Colorado Rockies team, who comes into this game fresh off of a 4-3 win. We saw Jake Cave get him ahead with that home run that he hit there. So yeah, I mean, sixth inning home run, and then the Brewers couldn't score any more runs. That was a big letdown for us. But regardless, guys, the Rockies are handing the ball in this game to Kyle Freeland, who's 0-3 this season with a 7.94 ERA. His last start, though, was very, very good at the White Sox. He went 6 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 2 earned runs. His start before that against Washington was also very good, only a single hit over 6 innings. So seems like he's figuring some things out and is throwing the ball much better right now. The Rockies bullpen, obviously, we don't have a crazy amount of positive things to say about them, but they are coming off of a pretty good game. So we, give them some credit there. Maybe they've got some solid arms out there that they can run out and, hold on to things. We see another good start here from Freeland. And the bats for the Rockies, I mean, they scored 4, 0, 3, and 8 runs respectively in their series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Not the best hitting team, despite getting to play half their games there at Coors Field. So, you got to take the good with the bad here, I suppose. This team is 17th in the majors in runs scored and slightly above average in batting average, but just not an offense that I'm crazy about. But looking at the numbers for this game, guys, some things kind of jump out to us. We've got the Royals at -194. That's a pretty heavy favorite there. We got the Rockies at +162. We got an over-under of 10.5 in this game. The Royals are only 17-23 on the road. That is not good, guys. We've got Colorado at 18-24 at home. Obviously not good either. We do see that, Kansas City is an under team on the road, and the Rockies are basically a 500 over-under team. But I'm not interested in over under 10.5. I am interested in the Colorado Rockies +162 in this game. I don't know if it's going to end up in the pinned comment. I would say it's got a chance because I like what I'm seeing from Freeland recently. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Royals bats. They're going to be a little bit tired after an 18-run game yesterday, and they had to travel from, Kansas City to Colorado is not the craziest travel day. But in general, guys, I'm leaning towards the Rockies in this game, and it's got a chance as a big underdog to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks going on the road to take on the San Diego Padres. The Diamondbacks come into this game fresh off of a 9-3 win there over the Dodgers. They won 2 out of 3 in that series, and they've won 4 out of their last 5 overall. They're 43-44 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Slade Ciccone, who's 2-6 this year with a 5.81 ERA. He's coming off of a decent start against the A's, I suppose. I mean, he went 4 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. He struck out 7 and walked 2. He hasn't been going super deep into games. He's been looking okay lately, but not great, guys. Not great. Not somebody I have a ton of faith in at all. Kind of like the Diamondbacks bullpen, a bullpen that I also have very little faith in. Not a unit that, really puts up great numbers this season at all. They've been one of the worst in the MLB. The offense, though, guys, this team can put up some runs. They've scored 9, 12, 5, 5, 3, and 4 runs, respectively, over their last 2 series. They're 9th in the majors in runs scored. They're top 10 in batting average, top 6 in on-base percentage. They're 11th in the majors with a 404 slugging percentage. Like, this is a team that can hit the ball. They can hit the ball freaking hard, guys. We saw Christian Walker. He's now up to 22 home runs. Like, this is a great offensive team, absolutely no doubt about it. They're taking on the San Diego Padres, who, are they a great offensive team? Well, maybe not. They're 48-43 on the season, though, so that's positive. They're handing the ball to Randy Vasquez in this game, who's 2-4 this year with a 4.88 ERA. He's coming off of back-to-back very serviceable starts, but those starts were 4 innings at Boston and 5 innings at home against the Milwaukee Brewers. Those are both games that we did see the Padres win, but man, was it all his fault? I don't know if it was all his fault, guys. I mean, he looked good, but not for very long, so we'll see what we actually get out of him. We'll also see what we get from this San Diego Padres bullpen. Not really a dominant bullpen this season. Not a disaster, guys. Not a disaster, but not a bullpen that you can just lock in and say this is a great bullpen. So some questions there. Also some questions about this offense. They've scored 3, 6, 0, 1, and 11 runs respectively over their last few. Fernando Tatis stayed out of the lineup there for Sunday's game against Milwaukee. He's now eligible to come back off of that 10-day IL, so we'll have to wait and see when he actually gets out there. It's kind of still seeming like it's up in the air. Not a lot of updates that I can find about him. If you know more, please let me know down in the comments, but not a lot that I can find at this moment. In general, guys, looking at the Padres offense, offense overall, they are sitting somewhere around 6th in the majors in runs scored and 2nd in the majors, batting .262 as a team. So not a ton of notes for this offense. Obviously, it would be great if they could get Tatis back. He's a very, very good player, but they're still 5th in the majors in on-base percentage, 10th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, this is a good offense, absolutely no doubt about it. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Diamondbacks at plus 100, the Padres at minus 110. We see an over-under in this game of 8.5. Arizona is 20-23 on the road. We see the Padres are up to 24-21 at home, so that's a positive trend for them for sure. We see Arizona pretty much a 500 over-under team on the road, but the Padres are 27-17-1 to the under at home this season, and with an over-under of only 8.5, both teams definitely capable of plenty of offense. We don't trust the Arizona pitching staff at all in this game. We don't really trust the Padres as far as we could throw them, but we don't really trust the Padres pitching situation at all in this game either. So guys, go ahead and give me over 8.5 in this game. I think that's a very solid spot. I also couldn't fault you for taking the Padres minus 110. That seems reasonable as well, but my lead in this game is definitely over 8.5. I think we're going to see plenty of offense in this game, early, middle, and late. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Oakland Athletics. The Orioles let a game get away from them for sure, losing 7-3 there in the last game of their series at Seattle, but they're going to try and wash that out of their memory here as they hand the ball to Albert Suarez, who's 4-2 this season with a 2.43 ERA. He's coming off a dominant start against the Rangers in a game that we saw Baltimore win 2-1. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits and no runs while striking out 2 and walking none, so a big bounce back for him after a terrible start at Houston. Seems like he is back on track, albeit against a pretty weak hitting team, but he's taking on the Oakland A's in this one, guys. Not exactly a championship slugging roster. The Orioles bullpen has been very good over the course of the season. Maybe not so hot yesterday, but what are you going to do? In general, though, not a bullpen that we super mistrust. The Orioles offense has obviously been the best in the majors this year, guys. First in runs scored, first in slugging percentage. Gunnar Henderson, obviously an absolute monster. And just in general, guys, this is an amazing, amazing offensive team. Didn't have the greatest day yesterday, only scoring 3 runs, but they've scored 3, 4, 2, 2, and 6 runs over their last few games. So they're kind of due for an outburst here. And yeah, this is a team that you kind of have to take that due factor into account a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. They're taking on the Oakland Athletics in this game, who just won 3 in a row against the Angels. They shut the Angels out over the last 2 games of that series. Pretty wild stuff. They're 33-56 on the year, though, so let's not overreact. They're handing the ball in this game to Hogan Harris, who's 1-2 this season with a 3.18 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty weak start there at the Diamondbacks. He went 3 1/3 innings, gave up 10 hits and 3 earned runs. So a pretty bad start from him. He's had pretty good moments in general this season, but not a guy that I'm going to tag as like a dominant starter, and he's going up against the hardest hitting team in the MLB, so we'll see what he can do against them. The A's bullpen has been pretty bad all year long, so not expecting great things from them, although they've looked good recently, don't get me wrong, but that was not against, the toughest team, as against the freaking Angels. So looking at the offense for this team, guys, they've scored 5, 5, and 7 runs respectively over their last 3. Very good stuff in that series, but will they be able to carry that over into the series against the Orioles? Seems a bit tough to me. I mean, there's a reason they're 28th in the majors in runs scored and 28th in the majors, batting .222 as a team, and it's not because they're an amazing offense. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Orioles at minus 178, the A's at plus 160. We see an over-under of 8 in this game. Baltimore is 26-15 on the road. That's an MLB best road record. We see Oakland is 21-23 at home, so not a disaster necessarily for a team that's pretty bad. Looking at the over-under numbers, we had an over-under of 8 in this game. We see that Baltimore is 23-15 and 3 to the over on the road. We see that Oakland is a slight under team at home. I do feel like over 8 is slightly in play in this game, but in general, I kind of like the Orioles to bounce back at minus 178. I think this is a kind of a different caliber of team than Hogan Harris is used to pitching against, but in general, guys, not enough faith in this one to put it in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Toronto Blue Jays going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. The Blue Jays come into this game 39-48 on the year, losers of 4 of their last 5. They're handing the ball in this one to Kevin Gausman. He is 6-7 this year with a 4.75 ERA, coming off a pretty bad start there against the Yankees. He's not had a great time lately. I mean, it's a start against the Yankees, 2 starts against the Red Sox, and a start against the Cleveland Guardians. He's given up 7, 3, 4, and 3 earned runs. He hasn't gone more than 6 innings deep into a game. Although, cut the guy a little bit of slack. Those are some pretty tough opponents. And when he comes out of the game, it's not like he's handing the ball to anybody great. The Blue Jays bullpen has been pretty terrible, not good over the course of the season, one of the worst out there. And the offense is sputtering again. They've scored 3, 2, 7, 1, and 1 run respectively over their last few games. So, yeah, we'll see what actually happens. I mean, they've got their shortstop now missing games with a forearm bruise. Like, that can be kind of, a lingering problem depending on which forearm and like how bad it is. But yeah, just not a lot of positive things to say about an offense that's 23rd in the majors in runs scored and 22nd in the majors in batting average. They're taking on a Seattle Mariners team that's also not great on offense. We all know that, but the pitching staff's pretty darn good. They won their last game of the series against the Orioles 7-3 to snap a 4-game skid there. They are down to 48-41 on the year though, and only a couple games up there on Houston in the AL West. They're handing the ball in this one to Luis Castillo, hoping that he can, get things back on track. He's 6-9 this season with a 3.87 ERA, coming off a serviceable start against the Twins, where we saw the Mariners eventually lose. He went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits and 3 earned runs, not showing the dominant stuff he was showing in the very, very beginning of the season. But once he comes out of the game, the Seattle bullpen is very, very good, so no major qualms about that. The problem for this team is you can never really expect them to score any runs. Scoring 7 runs in their last game against Baltimore is a huge offensive outburst for this team that has scored 7, 1, 0, 3, and 1 run respectively over their last few. Just a terrible offense, guys. 27th in the majors in runs scored, dead last in batting average, 27th in the majors with a 361 slugging percentage. Pretty rough stuff. Pretty rough stuff. Not a good offense. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Blue Jays at plus 125. The Mariners at minus 144. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Toronto is 18-24 on the road. Not great. Seattle is 29-16 at home, which is very, very solid. That's why we see them at minus 144 for this game. But more than that minus 144, guys, I'm interested in some under numbers. We see the over-under for this game is at 7.5, and Toronto is 22-18-2 to the under on the road. Seattle is 29-14-2 to the under at home. So I think under 7.5 is my main lean in this game. You could also look at stuff like under in the first 5 or no run first inning or whatever you wanted. I think offense is going to be at a premium in this game, but I'm not going to be putting under 7.5 in the pinned comment. Last but not least, guys, we're looking at the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the LA Dodgers. The Brewers come into this game fresh off of a 4-3 loss there at Colorado. Not what we were hoping to see in that one. Kind of embarrassing they couldn't put up some more runs there. They're handing the ball in this game to Aaron Savale. He is 2-6 this season with a 5.07 ERA. It's going to be his season debut here for the Brewers after they acquired him from the Tampa Bay Rays. They're hoping he can be a little bit of a boost to this kind of struggling starting pitching rotation that hasn't been amazing. His last start was back on the 29th against the Washington Nationals. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave 6 hits and 2 earned runs. So, not terrible stuff, not terrible stuff at all. We'll see what he can do here for his new team. Going to be kind of interesting. The Milwaukee Brewers bullpen has not been terrible this season. Maybe not elite, but definitely not terrible. So we can expect decent things from them, and we can always expect some good things from this offense. Doesn't mean we'll always get them, though, like what happened in their last game against the Rockies. However, over the course of the season, guys, this offense has been very, very good. They've scored 3, 3, 4, and 7 runs, respectively, over their last 4 games. So not necessarily dominant stuff, but I do expect them to put up quite a few numbers here eventually. I mean, they're 5th in the majors in runs scored and 4th in the majors in team batting average for a reason. They're going up against a Dodgers team that just lost 2 in a row to the Diamondbacks and have lost 3 of their last 4 overall to fall to 53-35 this season. They're handing the ball to Tyler Glasnow, hoping he can kind of right the ship for them. He's 8-5 this season with a 3.23 ERA. So, some positive things for him there, but his last start was not a positive one, guys. It was a game we saw the Dodgers eventually win 14-7, but he only lasted 3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 5 earned runs at the Giants. So, not great stuff there. Definitely some concerns about how Glasnow looked in that one, and he's had some hiccups over his last 5, guys. He also had a bad start at the Yankees where he gave up 8 hits and 5 earned runs and 2 home runs over 6 innings. So, some questions about him out there. Obviously, he's been good over the course of the season, no doubt about that, but some question marks about him. Not a lot of question marks about this Dodgers bullpen that's been very, very good over the course of the season, but once again, looking at their offense, we have questions looking at us. I mean, Mookie Betts being out is a big deal. Ohtani and Hernandez can't carry this entire offense by themselves. They are 3rd in the majors in runs scored and 5th in the majors in team batting average, but they've scored 3, 4, 6, 4, and 7 runs, 14 runs respectively over their last few games. So, some positives in there, some big offensive outbursts, but not a team I can really feel like I can count on offensively. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Brewers at plus 168. We see the Dodgers at minus 177. Over under of 8 in this game. Milwaukee is 25-23 on the road. The Dodgers are 26-16 at home, which is very solid. Nothing major to look at in terms of trends for the Brewers on the road in terms of the over under, but the Dodgers are 23-18-1 to the over at home, and we've got an over-under of 8 in this game. I think over 8 is very live in this one, but I also like the Brewers plus 168 with Savale to come out and have a great start in his first start there for his new team. So we'll see what we actually get. I don't know that anything from this game is ending up in the pinned comment, though. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out StumpTheSpread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.